Welcome to the Agency Navigators podcast. I'm Ro.
I'm Don.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Adam.
And
I'm Ryan.
So we are so happy, grateful, and blessed to have Ryan Miller from just everything where we are locally. You're part of the Mohawk Valley Community College Thinkubator. You're Rust Belt Productions. He is just a local legend. And we wanted to pull the curtain back today on how we've rebooted this podcast.
Absolutely. Ryan's been a big part. And we want to share this story because so many of you want to generate podcasts. And I think we can cut your learning curve.
Absolutely. So let's go back a little bit in time with Kayla. And she's smiling already. So if you've seen any of our early podcast attempts, but they were real, you will see we always had Kayla with us. And Kayla, we came up with the name Agency Navigators. I almost think you came up with that, Kayla. And she was executing everything as well as being on the camera. I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, we were, I'm going to set the scene time frame wise. COVID had literally just started to pop up. We were just starting. This is very early March, and we were just seeing if it would work out. And at the time, I had just started listening to podcasts, and I said, hey, there's really not a lot of insurance podcasts. You guys have some really great things to say, and why don't you give it a try? So downloaded Adobe and learned how to edit on the fly. And that's why those first initial podcasts were screaming at you, is because I don't have the magic touch like Ryan. But, overall, I'm going to set the scene that you just have to get started. That's the first part of it. Is anything we're saying here today, don't worry about getting it perfect. It will eventually come together. But if we had waited for perfect, you would be hearing our first podcast. We just started, and it was fun. It was fun to figure out our voice, our brand, what we were going to call it. If you've been with us or listened for a while, you've seen the 10 different iterations of our actual cover. And now it looks stunning because we've got great resources. But just start.
Just start. So then we got busy with all things agency CFO.
Absolutely. And CFOs do CFO things. And from my perspective is absolutely want to share insights with our audience, yet we have limited time and resources to produce that. It's not something, I personally want to do is produce a podcast.
So then fast forward, last year we were out at Mark Rogers in Littleton, Colorado, and he had a recording studio. So we did that mini season just to reboot it, see what the response would be. And we have Adam, who's joined the team last year. And Ryan, I'm trying to remember. Oh, I know how. Our great graphic artist, Ryan McGrogan, I reached out to him and said, who should we use for podcast editing? We need some help. He said, Ryan Miller. We're off to the races. So that's how the mini season came together. Ryan jumped in. Ryan Miller here jumped in, got us going. And in the middle of the night, one night, I woke up and said, Adam seems happy with this. I wonder if Adam wants to be a producer. What was that call like the next morning, Adam?
It was awesome, actually. I am an avid podcast listener, and I like technology. Though I am a data analyst here at Agency CFO in my regular day-to-day, being able to jump out of my normal swim lane and, do something that's fun and innovative, and being able to deliver our message out to the people of, the world out there that listen. It's a lot of fun. It's great.
And that was a game changer when he took it over and he started working with Ryan, and just the energy from everyone. And we got Ryan McGrogan involved on more graphics. And we told Kayla, guess what? You don't have to do this anymore. You just get to be talent on screen with us and use your knowledge. It really came together exceptionally quick. And what is one of our favorite things to say? If it's easy,
then it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Don't fight it. So
Yeah.
find a way. It should not be that hard. And absolutely, we reached a
So
point.
easy.
Yes, this is amazingly simple for us
Mhm.
to put this together. And it allows us to really focus on the most important part, which is the messaging.
Getting the message. So now we're going to kick it to Ryan and a little bit about how you guided us in those first few meetings. And we kept assuring you, we trust you, just do it. So what are your insights, Ryan?
Well, I think, at the beginning of this process, it's really important to figure out what is it that you want to do with the show. And so in your case, it's really about education and empowering people with information. And so being able to stick to that message, I think is really clear. Also, you made that investment in bringing in, great talent in Ryan McGrogan, and investing in Adam, investing in Kayla, and having me come in and do this, because now, you're doing the thing that you're really good at. You're doing the thing, which is, agency CFO. In terms of getting up and running, there's a lot of folks that want to get a podcast going, and I've helped a lot of people start. And I would say, before you start, there's a couple of questions you should ask yourself. Number one is just like I said, what do you want to do with this podcast? Are you educating someone? Are you entertaining someone? Who cares about listening to you? That's number one. Number two is, when you're thinking about launching something like this, I cannot tell you how many people have started a podcast, or I've worked with that started a podcast, and they do one episode and they stop, or they do two episodes and they stop. Oh yeah. Everybody loves to get a podcast out there, but that consistency is really important. And so I think if you're going to make this kind of investment in time, and you're going to do the promotion of it, really try to figure out, do you have at least 10 to 12 topic ideas, guests, episodes in your head that you really can deliver? Because it's hard to do that on a consistent basis. And before you dive in head first, make sure you've got either a consistent schedule, or even call it a season. Like when I started my podcast, which is called Rust Belt Startup, I originally was like, well, I'm going to do this every 2 weeks forever, right? And it's really hard to do that.
Yes.
So 2 weeks slipped to a month, and a month slipped to 2 months. And what I realized is, you're kind of playing against yourself. But I was like, I'm going to do a season. I'm going to do a season of 12 episodes, and it's going to take me as long as it's going to take me. And then I'm going to shelve it. And now what I do, and this is my kind of third final piece of advice for folks that are producing, is walking the line between quantity and quality. And so right now, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, you think about your own podcast behavior, and these world-class podcasts that you might listen to, and I'm sure Adam is got a list of those in his feed. How many of those do you listen to every single episode, every time they put one out? So don't give yourself the pressure of going, oh my God, everything's got to be great. Because the reality is, most people aren't going to consume every single thing in order. And so once that pressure's off, you can breathe a little bit and make sure that you're doing things that that are meaningful, that are kind of worth your time. And understand, not everyone's going to get everything.
That's really, really good advice, because along the way, early on, even with Kay, the three of us would worry about it being perfect and looking perfect. And then all of a sudden, along the way, it's like, no, it's more authentic when we laugh. And fair warning for the audience, if we ever start laughing, Ryan and Adam have full right to keep it in, because when we go off the rails, we're done. All three of us, we're gone. But it's so much fun. It makes it real. And I like that authenticity to it. And one of my tips to piggyback on Ryan is to have a Ryan, have an Adam, have someone internally in your team, if you have a big enough business, who's passionate about podcasting, who wants to be a producer, who can take the reins. Because I personally, and then have that external expert. Ryan, you were amazing from using Squadcast, which is the platform we're using, and just having that voice of industry expertise. It makes it more exciting for me. I look forward to podcast recordings more.
Well, absolutely. Again, the message to me is what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Producing is not my passion. So splitting to make sure take those very separate, diverse roles and get them to people who are passionate about each component. That I think has been the magic.
Oh, absolutely.
I was going to say, I like your point about proof of concept a little bit. And I think that's what you're getting at with some of those questions and why it maybe doesn't make it past episode 2. For us, season 1, if we go back to season 1, that was proof of concept. And it wasn't that we just love to hear ourselves talk, but we realized other people do too. And, I think before you invest in all of the resources, test it out, to Ryan's point, with those and see what feedback you're getting. In our case, we were actually shocked that we had more than 2 downloads and people watched episodes. And, we took a couple of years off, but every time we were at an event, we were in front of clients, I would be surprised that they wanted more topics. And part of that is we had the proof of concept there. And then at that point, I'm going to give a lot of credit. A lot of people probably don't know this about Dot and Row. If you know anything about the Big 5 Strength Finder, it's a test, and part of both of theirs is strategic, and they are very strategic in how they invest, and going back to making that investment from the get-go. As entrepreneurs, they've never been afraid to invest in something that felt right, but they've always ran it through that filter of proof of concept before you make that investment. And they've taught each and every one of us along the way how to prove that proof of concept. And especially if we bring an idea to them, well, we need some proof to make it happen. And to your point, getting past episode 2, potentially it's having those topics, but, also test it out with other people and see if, do they also think you should be talking on a podcast, or is this maybe a private conversation you should keep between friends?
Well, and that's a really great, thank you, Kay. Thank you so much. And that is such a great point, because we had a mentor along the way. So we do have a book out. It's called Changing Your Equation. It's what started our journey working together again, because we met at work a long, long time ago and said we'd always work together again. There's that law of attraction. What you say, you manifest. And the idea was, we were working with Steve Harrison, Bradley Communications. Many people don't know him, but if you know Chicken Soup for the Soul, Men Are From Mars, or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all of those books he launched. He was the marketing guru behind them. And through a mentor of mine, we invested. We were just telling Ryan that story, that when we're writing the book, we invested in the program. And Steve, we worked Steve one-on-one. He helped us come up with agency CFO. And he actually was pushing us to do a podcast a long time ago. And that's why when Kayla came on board in COVID and we needed to get our voice out, someone had already been it was already in our ear saying to do it. The other thing I want to personally add, I've got 2 tips. One, and we've seen this, you don't need a major recording studio. Don and I are in the office upstairs at our house. I will show you. We have a little blue Snowball Yeti microphone, and we are using our Logitech Brio camera. This is not, it gets back to being authentic. It works great for us, at least we think. Adam, where are you at? You're in your basement, right?
Yep, I'm in my office down in my basement, and same thing. I have a Blue Yeti microphone, the same Logitech camera, and as far as tech goes, there's not really all that much that you need.
One of the things I would add for folks that are trying to get into it, to do like the podcast on a budget, is, obviously invest in a reasonably good microphone like you all have. You can get a good enough one on Amazon for $50-$60.
That's all.
Webcam is fine. The reason I set this up a little bit different at my home today is I'm actually using my iPhone as an external camera. And so one of the things that I like about this is if you're on a Mac, is you can kind of play around with the using the better camera of an iPhone than a web camera for positioning. So you probably already have a good camera in your possession. And then when you talk about Squadcastro, choose your tool. I've done client stuff with Zoom recordings, which is fine. But here's the magic sauce about a program like Squadcast or Riverside, which is all of the different folks that are on this podcast. We're all recording our video and audio on our hard drives locally on the machines, and then it's pushing them up to the cloud. So what that basically is doing for us is it's going to reduce kind of glitches and interruptions. The quality is going to be a lot better than you're going to get on Zoom out of the box. But more importantly, if there's something we do have to edit, like in this episode, you won't notice, but there's an edit here. I'm able to make those edits on an individual basis without creating strange gaps in the dialogue. So those processes and those little, kind of cheap software solutions can really elevate your game out of the box.
So true. I found when you mentioned Squadcast to us and we looked at it, we were sold right away because of the individual feeds. We used to do it via Zoom. Poor Kay, the editing she had to do back then. So it's really not that much. You don't have to have the super uber professional world-class studio. I like keeping it real. And here's I promised you 2 tips. And this speaks to Ryan saying not getting past episode 2. And all of us are going to smile when I say this. We will record 3 or 4 episodes in a day. We break in between episodes. We all go change. This is our 2nd episode of today's recording. We've got 1 more after this. We'll come back in different clothes, different hair, and we're off and running again. And that has given such a freedom to all of us. Our schedules are so tight. We've got Ryan Monday afternoons. It's a good time. We don't have a lot of client meetings once or twice a month. We get these recordings off and let Adam take it. And I will say we don't have Jamie, our assistant, on the call today. She has also been absolutely integral in executing this. She coordinates with Adam and Ryan and the whole team. And she's becoming, I don't know, if Adam's the producer, what would you, she's our coordinators. There's some technical term for what she's doing.
We always say she's the Robin to my Batman with the podcast. But really, half of the time, I kind of feel like the Robin to her Batman because she just does such a fantastic job with all of this. She's knocks it out of the park. And every time she has a deliverable, whether it be a summary for an episode or something like that, she's on point with it. It's always delivered. It's always well worded. She's absolutely crushed it for us.
So passionate team members, great subject matter, an expert external resource, and then just have fun.
Absolutely. And we've made it systematic.
Oh, that's good. Of course, that's our CFO.
Make it routine, make it a system, and then it's repeatable.
Yeah.
And it's helps simplify everything.
Absolutely. Ryan, we are truly grateful for you. Anyway,
Thank you so much.
often tell you, I try to, that use us as a reference, refer to us, whatever you need, however we can help Rust Belt startups. And he does do this, guys. Anyone listening, feel free. Ryan, you want to give them your contact info?
Sure. You can just check me out at rustbeltstartup.com, or if you want to check out my podcast, it's Rust Belt Startup, anywhere you get your podcasts.
So absolutely, I cannot speak more highly about any industry resource we've ever worked with. Ryan, you are just so much fun and so phenomenal, and we are so very grateful.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Quick. His turnaround with his editing is always really fast. He's great.
You guys are good clients, though. Like, give yourself some credit here. When what Don was talking about and what y'all were talking about in terms of systematizing organization, it just makes the whole thing run smoother, and it will allow you to focus on the thing that you seek to do and the message that you seek to deliver. Is just get your ducks in a row and then just go deliver that message.
There we go. All right. Thank you all for joining us. We hope these behind the curtain insights help you truly. And feel free to reach out to any of us here at Agency CFO or Ryan at Rust Belt Productions. And Ryan McGrogan Design, the man is phenomenal. So we want to help all businesses succeed. Take care.
Be well.